Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Bars and Bells.
My name is Lauren.
And I am Ian.
And today is our beginner strength class. Here we'll progress our strength skills from our body weight, working on some kettlebell skills, and continuing to get stronger.
You got it. We have our kettlebells off to the side. We'll play with those in a second. And until then, let's check in with the body weight, starting with the breath. Hand belly, hand chest. Taking that big inhale into the belly, pulling the belly button away from the spine. And then slow exhale, bringing that belly button back towards core center. Repeat again, breath in, make room, expand that belly, and exhale, pulling back into spine. Now keep that nice contact down low and breathe into the chest. Fill the lungs, expand the rib cage, and exhale. Continue to draw that belly button into the spine and repeat that chest breath one more time. And out slow. Now a belly breath down low, increase some room, nice and big, and hold full for 4 seconds. And then exhale slowly for 4, holding empty for 4. The belly button is pulled in, let's breathe into the chest for 4 seconds. Hold full for 4. Exhale slow for 4. And hold empty for 4. Continue to pull that belly to spine. Now let's take some more breath into those abs. And slow exhale. 2 more breaths like that. Continue to pull the belly to spine and increase that pressure around the core. Exhale. For the last one, the belly is drawn into the spine. Full breath in through the nose. Fill those side bodies. And exhale. Now add a brace. So Lauren could take that surprise hit and now breathe underneath of that shield, continuing for 10 seconds. Test your shield. Walk around. Give yourself those little taps on the abs, making sure that we can breathe from behind. And then give it that encouragement to reset. As we get in today's practice, we'll do some casual kettlebell swings, casual, like 5 of them, and it probably will take away your breath a little bit. So we'll focus on that forced exhale. Let's go to the head neck. At the head, slow, small ranges to start, chin tuck or flexion at the neck, chin towards sternum. Then I'll trace my right clavicle, looking towards Lauren at the right, and then up the wall to the ceiling. Head rests in center, pull crown high to tuck the chin again. Repeat our chin tuck, a rotation the other direction, and then look up the wall towards the ceiling, center over the hips, and then pull the crown high, resetting in the level position. Now extend the head neck, chin towards ceiling, then look towards that original side, in this case it's my right, and then down the wall, chin towards clavicle, rotate to center, pull down on those scalenes on the front to support the extension up, and then to the side, down the wall, chin towards clavicle, scrape center, and reset, looking straight ahead on the horizon. I like to change up those feet again, so in a stance comfortable for you, let's repeat those same actions of the head neck through the rib cage. For that, I like hands across my chest. First, we'll get the flexion. That's the sternum towards those hips. From here, rotate. Here I chose my right. Then I'll lean to the new corner, 4 o'clock on a clock face. And then once my body is at that 6 o'clock midnight line, I'll continue to pull, just like Lauren's showing there, sternum back towards the hips. Then add the rotation. I'm at that 8 o'clock corner. Then I'll dip and reach backwards, extending that T-spine, and then pulling the rib cage back down to center. Now let's reverse extension first. Keep the rib cage pulling down as the rib cage lifts up. I know that sounds crazy, but from here, we'll rotate to the new corner and then flex and curl, rounding ourselves back to center. Pull the sternum down, lift the rib cage up, add our rotation to that second corner, the side bend, and then that flexion rotation back to center, Lock down the sternum to abs, and then up. Add those little shakes in between. From here, let's get knees over toes as we'll try to get into those squats today as well. And from here, extend those hips, pressing forward. Find the toe tips here. Add a challenge by closing your eyes. Or use your balance aid as you need and reset heels to the floor. Again, we'll go knees over toes. This time, pull those heels up, allowing yourself to sink in your toe squat. And from here, on those toes that stand back up, extend the hips through, and maybe closing the eyes goes a little bit better the second time. Reset heels to the floor. Lastly, knees over toes, sink lower by pulling yourself down, and then with the assistance of hands or without, knees to the ground, cramp those glutes through, bracing abs, and then fingertips to the floor. Fingertips, callus lines, and full hand. The blood donation is forward. The armpits are low or down to the hips. From here, let's pull on the ground, extending the wrist, meaning the shoulders could drift forward. Then press the fingers forward into the floor, hinging back on the hips. Pull. Lauren's laughing here.
Well,
We're
it's funny because we just filmed
and then pushing.
pre-recorded videos, and then you go live, and it's a little bit different.
Game, it is. So we'll do that one more time, the extension or drifting forward, and then pressing forward that you go back, finish with the fingertips, and add that friendly wiggle. One more time for wrists. This time we'll just turn the hands under. So underhand grip extension now. It's the fingertips first, calluses, and then hands or heels of the hand. If this is too crazy, please use the wall or an elevated surface. But from here, fingertips, index fingertips, press them into the floor for 5, 4. Feel energy through the flexors in the arms there. Relax. Repeat that same effort on the ring fingers, middle, as we press the middle fingers into the ground, and then relax. Now the same effort on those ring fingers. Whew, that's alive. And then the pinkies. And Lauren won't let me finish this drill without those thumbs, so press those thumbs in there too. Gently bend the elbows, peel the hands up, and as well, flick the floor forward. Assemble a narrower stance now, and 1 foot forward as in the lunge. Hike a hip, pull a hip, tuck a hip, tilt a hip. Find a nice, strong, centered position for you. Then, let's squeeze the back butt cheek. It's cramped. Pressing down on the front limb and pulling ourselves forward. Slurp together in that straw. Keep this back cheek extended and gently chase that knee over toe shape like Lauren's showing. Relax the effort required to stay here, but then reintegrate that butt cheek squeeze. Press down and with tension, pull yourself 1 degree further forward. Squeeze the back butt cheek. Push the heck out of that right leg, and that leg in the front, and scissor those hips, standing nice and tall in the middle. Take that front leg, wiggle it to the side, just like in that getup. Then with the hand across the chest, at the head neck first, rotate towards the leg at the lateral side, and then rotate through the rib cage. At that place, we'll hinge on the hip, patterning our getup here, hand to the floor, and then head, eyes looking at the hand on the ground. Let the upper body catch up as you rotate that sternum to face the floor next, and then look up to the ceiling. Rotate through the body. Take a big breath in. Exhale and look down to the hand. Rotate through the body. And for last time, head, neck leads. Look up. Rotate through the rib cage. And then press the floor away, extending the hip. Square to your lunge. And drag the leg underneath. Switch your side. Again, we can hike hips. We can pull them low. We can have that posterior tuck where we bring the front of the hip to the belly button, or the anterior where we tip our tailbone away. Find a nice strong center position, and then cramp that back butt cheek. Press down on the front leg and encourage yourself with tension to dorsiflex or bring the knee towards over the toe. For running, for steps, for all of our favorite pursuits, but then relax the effort required to hold this pose. Squeeze this butt cheek 1 more time, press down, and 1 more go, pull yourself forward. Then we're going to switch gears as we press forward through the front leg, keeping this back leg hip extended, meet in the middle, and relax the tension. Legs, heel toes to the side, and the leg lateral, that same hand combination across the chest. At the head neck, add the rotation. Let the upper body follow. And then integrate the hinge, hand on the floor. Look to the floor next, and let the rib cage or sternum face down after. Look to the ceiling, head neck rotation. Then press through the floor, rib cage next. Take a breath. Exhale, looking down. Rotate through the rib cage one more. Last time as we look up with the head neck, rotate through the rib cage, press the floor away, squaring back to center in tandem. Return to those hands, a gentle down dog as we check in with our hinge. Fingertips, callus lines, full hands. Tip your tailbone to the ceiling and then press your hands forward, lifting the knees away from the floor. Pause with bent knees and tip your tailbone to the ceiling. Lift your bum, Lauren.
You said bent knees?
Yep.
Oh.
So keep the knees bent, but keep that tailbone high. Now, maintain the low back shape or the tip of the hips as you casually straighten the knees for 4, 3. With control, return to that bear hover. Tip the tailbone to the ceiling one more time, pulling those femur heads into the hips, and then straighten arms with that tailbone shape as desired. Slowly straighten through the knees and breathe. I'll open up my stance a little, walking back to now the hinge position. Take a moment that the feet are rooted, shins are vertical, spine is nice and long, and then press the feet into the ground, extending those hips to tall. And shake.
Nice.
How'd the body weight warm up go? That's about it for me in the warm up here. Leave a comment if there was something missing or a cue that you would like us to refine for the next time. And until then, take it away.
We're going to work on our hinges and some carries with the kettlebell.
Awesome.
I'd like to revisit our two-legged hinges today and add a little something to those hamstrings. So standing in your feet, come a little closer so they can see you better. Side profile is the best for this. Maybe just watch for 1 second. We're both going to do it and then you'll join. You'll do your hip hinge. It's such a subtle movement. I want you to see it first. You're going to push your hips back, tail is gently tilted to the ceiling. Your shins are fairly vertical, but I want you now to lift your hips up 1 centimeter or 2, straightening or verticalizing those shins even more. That should make your hamstrings go hala, 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 and then gently relax. Let's press through the floor to stand up and join us as we do that again. We're going to go for 3 rounds in that position. So slight tilt to the tail, hips push straight back behind you. Once you're there, you should already feel that load in your hamstrings. We're going to exaggerate that feeling by gently trying to lift the hips just a little bit more, making those shins more vertical, and then relax. And repeat, gently try to lift the hips, making the shins even more vertical, and relax. And one last time, make those shins more vertical, and then push into the floor, driving out to press your hips through. Shake that out. From there, let's grab our bell and start with a low hold. Standing right over top of our bell in our hinge position, we'll chop our hips, grip with one hand on the bell, making sure the other hand is out front so your shoulders remain square forward. Pack your shoulder, brace your core, load up, and hoop, bring that bell up. Step, pulling the bell to one side. Right now, let's do our checklist. Our feet are gripping the floor, weights even between both feet. All butts are squeezed, all cores are braced. Shoulders retracted and packed. If we were being lazy, we would fall towards that bell, but instead, opposite side works hard for 4, 3, 2, bring that bell to the front step. Use that same hinge to put it back down and stand up without. Shake, breathe, same thing second side. Hip hinge, hips go straight back. One hand on, shoulder pack, ab brace, tall. Bell comes beside you. Again, feet rooted into the floor. Kneecaps pulled up, butt squeezed, core braced, shoulder packed. Breathe. Make, this side, work very hard for another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, step, bringing it to the front. Both hips hinge. Place the bell down. Nice. You can stay where you are, over top of your bell if you'd like. And we're now going to revisit our hinge for 3, not with that extra little bit, but just a regular hinge. So right now, push those hips back, gripping the floor with feet. I want your hands to find your kettlebell. No picking it up, just find your bell. Pack your shoulders like you're juicing an orange in your armpit. Feel that preload, imagine your bell's 500 pounds, and then let it go. Drive your hips through, standing up tall. Punches in the butt, punches in the abs. Repeat two more times. Chop your hips back. Nice neutral spine. Hips are reaching to the wall behind you. Grip, pack, brace, preload. Let it go. Up without. One last time. Hinge. Feel the load on hamstrings and glutes. Grip, brace core, wear that load, and then without. Staying where you are, we're going to progress our next carry. Ooh, sometimes those hinges get me. We're going to progress our next carry into our rack hold. We'll turn our bell on a quarter angle here, so our bell is running parallel with our feet. We're going to hinge. One hand grips, other hand cuddles. Preload, keep the bell close to the body as you bring it up into that rack position. Once you're here, when you feel comfortable, let go. I like to bring my feet a little narrower underneath me. Again, checklist, feet gripping, glute squeeze, core brace, ribs to hips. Vertical forearm, nice straight and strong wrist. Don't let that bell pull your wrist over. Keep it tight. We hold for 5 more seconds. One day we're gonna press this bell. 3, 2, 2 hands, step hinge, bell goes down, you stand up. Shake and breathe. Same thing other side. Hip hinge. Other hand grips, second hand cuddles, pull, zip, rack position, adjust as needed. Feet, quads, glutes, abs, vertical forearm. This bell right now is beside our chest. Keep that forearm vertical. Imagine being able to press it for 4, 3, 2, 2 hands, and hinge. Up without.
Laughing at my struggle in the back, or
well,
what?
A little bit. I kind of lose track of time, and I know Ian's bell is a little bit more weight. All right, we're going to progress our 2-legged hinges into single leg hinges. You might want to move that kettlebell just out to the side. Start in your 2-legged hinge stance. Let's push both hips back as we've practiced. From here, transition weight onto a single leg by pushing over. Keep the connection with that off leg and draw a quarter circle all the way around to the back, keeping the toe touching the floor. Right here, just like we did on 2 legs, lift the hip a little bit more, load up the hammy and glute, and press through to tall. Step, hip hinge. Transition weight to the other side. Maintain that neutral spine, core brace, hip stays tucked in. Point long, draw the circle all the way around the back. Lift the hip a little bit, feel the load, and then up as one unit. One more time each side. Hip hinge. Transition by pressing over. Full pointed foot. Stay connected to the floor the whole time and keep that back leg nice and straight at the knee. Now lift the hip a bit more and then up as one. Last time, second leg. Chip chop, hips back. Push the weight over. Brace the core, no twisting or dipping. Nice circle at the back. Lift the hip a bit and then up to tall. Great. Before we do, actually, let's get to that in a second. We're going to do one last hold in that goblet position. So you'll need your bell again. Staying right over top of it. We'll do our hip hinge and pull to that goblet position. Here we go. Hinge. Grip the top of your bell, packing your shoulders, bracing. Pull, re-grip down the horns. Now right here, adjust stance as needed. Ribs to hips, abs braced. Maybe you stay here with your shoulders retracted and that orange is juicing in your armpits. Depending on your load, we could play a little game of peekaboo. Holding, keeping those shoulders down as you elevate the bell. The lats are engaged. We pull it back to the chest position. Step and hinge.
No laughing.
I'm sorry. Great job back there.
That's just too heavy for me to do in that window hold position. It's always great to try, test yourself, try new things. But again, if the integrity of that movement isn't quite there, regress to that original hold and it'll just be fine.
I'd like to do one more set of our single leg hinges and then groove our overhead press.
Woo.
All right, single leg hinges again. So just like last time, press those hips back, transition that weight to one side, pointing the leg long, keep the connection all the way around the back. Lift the hip a little bit and then up as one. Step, other side. Hinge, press the weight over, load it up all the way around the back. Lift the hip a little bit and then tall. One last time each side. As I'm doing this, I really like to think about what that could look like on the inside of my hip and muscles there. I picture all those little muscles working to stabilize the hip and glute. Last time, hip hinge, transition over, load up, feel that work on those little guys, and then press through to tall. All right, we're gonna groove our overhead press first, body weight, and then maybe we'll try it with that bell. So let's do it right from how we would do it with a bell. We're gonna do our hinge and imaginarily, you know, I love making up words, imaginarily pick up that bell to the rack position. Rack. From here, pack your shoulder, engaging that lat. Slowly press to your safe overhead. No pinching, no pain. Once you get there, elevate the shoulder to shrug, which we won't do with a kettlebell, but we will do now. Pull down with a straight elbow. And then continue pulling that bell down, maintaining that vertical forearm. As patterned, 2 hands, hinge, bell goes down. Up with that. Same thing on the other side. Hinge, grip 1, cuddle 2, zip, rack. Shoulder retracted, lat engaged, pulling down to press to your safe overhead. Once you get there, hide the ear again, show the ear by engaging the lat with a straight elbow, and then continue pulling that bell down to the rack position. Hold for a second, 2 hands, hinge, bell goes down. We should press once, right?
Overhead. Does
Great.
overhead feel safe and strong for you? Personally, this is gonna be a big challenge for me today. We've done a couple days in a row of some heavier work. I'm still gonna try, we'll get it overhead in that groove, and as Lauren will probably instruct here, pull the load down through that armpit.
If you don't feel comfortable going overhead, spend time in that rack position while we progress this. Hinge, 1 hand grips, 1 hand cuddles, zip to rack. From here, hook, pressing that bell overhead, keeping that shoulder packed. Now control the pull down for 4, 3, 2 to the rack position, 2 hands, hinge, bell goes down. Shake it out. How'd it go? Oh, good. Glad it went that well. Same thing, other side. Hinge, grip 1 hand, cuddle the other, zip. Once you're in that rack, press it towards that overhead position. Nice. Once there, lat engaged, vertical forearm to pull that bell right back down to rack. 2 hands, hip hinge, bell goes down.
Oh, that got the heart rate going. Loads overhead, very challenging skill, a very fun skill to work on, but ensure that safety and strength, making sure nothing's pinching. Groove it, trust, and build the groove. Lauren's done a great job integrating that hinge. Excuse me. So let's stick with that as we pattern our swings. The first drill for our swing will be the stop swing. Watch first, and then we'll join in together. For the stop swing, we'll organize ourselves behind the bell, 2 hands on the kettlebell, tipping it back. The first element of the stop swing is the hike pass.
Pull, park. Pull, park. Some key things to note here while Ian's doing 2 more is that he's staying the same height here. He's never standing up. So keep that load in the hamstring and glutes, just like we practiced in those hinges. I guess it's my turn.
If you were watching that, join Lauren as I cue you through the same steps. Preload. Grip the bell with firm grips, pack those shoulders, pull to the zipper, and return to the floor out front. Time it that we take a breath in and then pull. A breath in and pull. Perhaps last rep, keep it low like 4 or 5 and shake it out. Let's repeat that one more time each. If you're not comfortable swinging the bell like a ballistic swing here, please regress towards the hinge, deadlift, and really focus on the preloading, the amount of work that you're doing before the kettlebell is actually leaving away or lifting away from the floor. Here we go, one last time for 5.
So one last time in this hike pass drill. From here we have that grip, the shoulders pack, and think about, boom, pulling that back to the zipper of your pants and parking with control.
The control or the quiet of the landing there isn't for the neighbors downstairs. It is for the efficiency and safety of your swing. The pull to zipper, the park. As Lauren's saying, the door, or the ceiling rather, is shortened here, and we're not standing up. Maintain integrity of the hip hinge as we integrate the hike pass. From here, let's do a bodyweight get up, down, back up. Your call could be a hand across chest, or challenge that overhead position as Lauren described earlier. Make sure nothing's around, and then the leg we can touch here would drop back in our slow lunge. Then that leg opens up to the side, rotation through the upper body. Then hip hinge, hand to floor, stack so the shoulder's over top of the hand. Sweep a leg through, find the elbow, and now this is our core drill here. We'll go 1 second back and return. And now 1, 2, return, 1, 2, 3, return, and then 4 on the floor with control. Let's reverse on the way up, which starts with the hip extension or the pushing a foot through the floor and then pulling on the elbow. Transition to the tall sit. Our bridge, our sweep, slide the hand up a leg, squaring up your lunge, core tension, full stand, pull, building that groove back to the rack. Switch your sides and repeat the effort similarly with the core movements once we're on the elbow. Hand across chest or hand overhead, leg we can touch, drop back, slow control, descent in the lunge. Open the leg to the side. It's that rotation, hinge, and load up. From there, we'll sweep the leg through to the tall sit, find our elbow, and now 1 second back, and then return to stack. 2, 1, and return. 1, 2, 3, and now 1, 2, 3, and there it is, the floor. Repeat to the up. It's that hip extension, the pull on the elbow. Transitioning to the tall sit, our bridge, sweeping of the leg, sliding up away from the floor. Square the lunge, check those hips, full body tension, to full stand, continue to build that groove back to the rack. How'd the swings go? Stick with that hike pass drill if you're new to swinging, or follow along as Lauren will quickly show the stop swing, 1 repetition. It's the same in that it goes to the hip hike or the hip pass, and then bang, it floats out front. Hike pass swing, and back. Lauren will be in this planking position for as long as possible, perhaps 2 more repetitions, and can take that core tension, the butt squeeze, and a firm connection to the ground. 5 repetitions, stop swings. They're probably harder than continuous, but that's okay. Let's try it out.
As you go into these stop swings, setting up in your hinge, pulling to zipper, through, and park. Biggest thing we like to encourage during these stop swings is that the hips reach back to the same place every time. So Ian's gonna try to touch my hand just like where he started. Those hips reach back behind you. That's your power.
We often go and I go, you go rep scheme in this practice. Shake it in between, stay fresh with your reps, and if you can, do it one more time with Lauren for 1. The pull, the 2. Making sure that kettlebell is underneath of the buttocks, but below the knees. above the knees, above the knees. Clear the floor to ensure safety and strength in your swing. Ooh, even after all these years, I still get that wrong.
All right, Ian's team, 5 or so stop swings. So that packed grip, pulling to the zipper, and then it's the power from the hips and the core that drive the bell up to that top position. In the top position, we're at about chest height, shoulders retracted, and control. The landing. Nice.
The control piece, yes, yes. Let's repeat those efforts in the bodyweight get up. In particular, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 second pauses to the floor. Hand across chest or hand overhead, the leg we can then touch, drops back in our lunge. Slow, control down. Then open the leg, front to the side. Rotation, hinge. Hand to floor, stack, sweep. Find the elbow, press back 1 second, and then return. 1, 2, return. 1, 2, 3. And last time, 4 to the floor, no sounds, nice and control. Then extend the hip, pushing through, pulling on that elbow. Tall sit, bridge, sweep, slide the hand up the leg, square up the lunge, core tension to full stand. Shake, repeat, other side. Hand across chest or hand overhead, the leg you can touch drops back in the lunge. Keep that back hip extended and pull the floor, pull the floor together as you descend in the lunge. Then it's that front leg to the side. We add our rotation, next the hinge, and then the sweeping through to the tall sit. In the tall sit, we'll find the elbow, and now 1 second back to stack. 2 seconds. Back. 3. And return. And last time to the floor. Let's get back up. Extending the hip, pulling on the floor, transitioning to the tall sit. Bridging, sweeping the leg, pressing the floor away, extending the hips. Square up the lunge, hips and wiggles, get that centered, and then core brace to full stand and shake. There's one last swing drill here for today, and that's putting together those repetitions. Before we do, let's just time it one set of repetitions with our body weight shadow swing. Stand behind your kettlebell, set up your hinge, and right now just touch the handle of it. From here, let's pull those hands to the zipper, maintaining the height or the quality of the hinge. And now hands stay tight as we extend the hips to tall. At that place, the hands can float to the front, ensure that those shoulder blades are in retraction or squeezed together. Then, hands find zipper. We incorporate that hinge and return the hands back out front. Now pull hands to zipper, stand up tall, float out front, bring the hands down, reach them back. Now stand up one more time as we push those hips through. Arms float, we're holding a tall plank, arms down, hinge, return to the floor, barehanded up. 5 repetitions in a row, 1 from the floor, and then those successive repetitions go from that hike pass, or that position above the knees and below the butt. Let's let Lauren do 5 first, and then we'll follow right after.
Regular swings.
Regular swings, 5 in a row, hi-ya. And we're timing so that kettlebell is right at the groin here as we integrate that hinge. Hinging too soon can stress the low back. Time it for efficiency and strength.
All right, Team Ian, 5 swings here. Always get that setup right, that nice hip hinge back, and that explosive exhale. And exhale plank. And park.
2 sets of swings here of every style. This will be our last set of swing. Finish with integrity. Finish like you could do it again. And as Lauren has a couple more swings to go, always testing that shield on the front.
Last one. Biggest thing with this swing as well is maintaining that neutral spine. And to do that, keep the core brace 360 degrees. Hips go back, hips snap through, plank, and park with control.
There's 5. Let's slow things down with our breath for a second. Maybe place a hand on the belly, hand on the chest. Slow breaths in. Slower and forceful out. Slow breath in. Slow and forceful out. 2 more. Exhale. And last time. Exhale. And wiggle. Maybe 4 is enough to reset the breath, or perhaps 10 is a nice number. Force that exhale. Convince your body that you're in charge and that it's okay. We'll stress it out again, but recover with the breath. For the past few weeks, we have been exploring the firing range position on the floor and linking that together into that first move. Do you feel safe, confident, interested to try the first move under load?
Of our get up.
Of the get up. Let's do it. Let's get down through the push up though instead. So find that kettlebell that you're ready to move, integrate the hinge, walk the hands out to a high plank, and take a couple seconds lowering yourself with control to the floor. When you're there, reorganize that you can cuddle that kettlebell, and from the cuddle to the firing range, we'll get to that elbow, as this shape shows here, and return to the back. We'll be doing that for up to 3 repetitions. Ready to go? Mm-hmm. All right.
Again, if you don't want to do this with your kettlebell, practice at body weight.
So grip that kettlebell, take a breath, 2 hands roll, and press to firing range. Now extend the hip, pull on the elbow, hold the pause for a second, and with control, return to your back. Again, extend the hip, pull on the elbow, hold the pause, and then return to the back. Final repetition, extend the hip, pull on the elbow, and like a plank, a little harder in the breath there. Return the kettle to the ground. Cuddle, let go, and turtle yourself around there. Third one, that got a little bit harder by the sound of it, but hopefully it was mostly the same. Hope as well, the last rep should or could be the hardest of the bunch. That's where the magic happens. But the real magic happens when you rest. So this will be the last time here with the kettlebell into that first position. We have a cuddle. With 2 hands, we'll roll and hiya press. Set up in the get up, press through the hip, and pull onto the elbow. Control to the floor, resetting. Again, extend the hip, pull on the elbow, hold the pose, and then return to the floor. And the last one, we extend the hip, pull on the elbow, pause, and control down. 2 hands, pull the kettlebell to the hip, initiate that cuddle, and from here, let's get up through our press up or push up again. Hands on ground, ribs to hips connection. I modified my get up or my push up there from the knees. Get up anyhow you feel safe, integrating that hinge, extending those hips through, and again, the reset, wiggle, and shake. We said squats. Do your legs have 2 more sets rather, of movements for them? Join us with the body weight, or join us in one of those grips that we showed earlier, being either the goblet or that racks position for sets of squats. 2 sets. If you choose the right hand to do in the rack, 3 to 5 on that side with rest, and then the next time we'll switch. What hand grip are you gonna do, Lauren?
Well, I guess we'll do the rack hold.
You'll do the rack? Okay.
So we'll stand over top of our bell in our hinge position and assume that rack hold just as we did earlier. Again, if this position is harder for you, choose that goblet hold. No matter what you're doing, let's use our hinge to pick up the bell. 1 hand grips, 2nd hand cuddles. Zip. Now, here's $1 million bill. Put it under your armpit and don't let it go. Step your feet into that squat position. Pull yourself down. to tall. Let's go for 3. Pull yourself down, up to tall. Last one, do you still have your bill? And up. Adjust your feet to your hinge, 2 hands. Put that bell down, up without. Shake it out, take a second off. We'll do the same thing on the other side. What that bill aims to do is keep the elbow in tight so that we don't end up like a chicken. Here we go. Other side. Hip hinge, grip pack, zip, and bill. Step your feet to your squat, pull yourself down, up to tall. Engage the muscles as you pull down and drive to tall. Pull down and up. 2 hands, hinge, bell parks. Breathe. Shake.
Pardon me, you want more squats? Great. There's a newly released goblet squat and plank walkout episode online. So if you need more, check it out, but also know that little bits can go a long way. Let's return to the floor, finish with a nice rotation, and that'll be it for the day. Down through the get up, or any other way that you choose, a lunge, the open hip, rotation. Oh, I thought she was gonna do her pistol squat. Hand to the floor, and then anyhow you got, let's get towards the 90-90 position, packing the shoulder just like the get up. And right now, let's build awareness in the top hip. In this case, it's my left. With the buttock, the glute, the hip, press the top leg forward. Help that by pulling the bottom leg in or sucking that femur head into the hip. Then look to the ground and let the rib cage rotate just like in the warm-up. At this place, just push that top hip forward 1 more degree. Then look to the ceiling with the head neck and finish with that rotation through the ribs. For 1 more time, top hip, push it forward, pull the bottom leg in, look to the ground with the head neck, and then rib cage to roll and follow. Push that top hip forward, look to the ceiling, 1 more go, and then press through the hand, letting that rib cage follow to your tall sit. Switching sides, no rules, but making sure that shoulder stays packed and the shoulder here is on top of the elbow for stability and support. 90-90 on the bottom legs, and that top hip here, my right, pushing forward and concentrating on pulling the femur head on the bottom leg into the hip. From here, hand across chest like Lauren's showing, and then look to the ground with the head neck. Rotations through the rib cage next. That top hip, let's just push it forward, pull the bottom leg in, and then look to the ceiling, rotating through the rib cage next. Top hip forward, check in. Now 1 last go, head, neck, rotate to the ground, then rib cage, T-spine follows. Pause, bottom leg in, top hip forward, and then look up to the ceiling, rotate through the rib cage, press through the floor, and that's it. Thank you so much for being here today as part of our bodyweight and kettlebell class for beginners. We're not beginners, but as you heard me there, getting my cues mixed up sometimes, it takes practice to make things just about perfect. Use a light load, a heavy load, or only your body weight, and learn the skills of strength for safety and enjoyment in all of your wellness and exercise pursuits.
To summarize, practice the basics.
Practice the basics.
Thank you for joining us today. We're here tomorrow for our bar class and Friday for our restore and recharge. We'll hope to see you in one of those. Take care, stay strong, and see you soon.
Have a great day.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.